Hey everyone, Matt here with Reach Your Summit. Thanks for checking in. In this video, I want to go over 3 very popular microgrid fleeces in the hiking community. Those fleeces are the Patagonia R1, the Melanzana Hoody, and the Old Navy Go Warm Hoodie. For frame of reference with this video, my height is about 5'11", weight is around 160 to 165 pounds. And the 3 that I'm going to go over with you in this video are all a size medium. So let's start with the Patagonia R1. This you can find at almost any outdoor retailer. You can also find it on Patagonia's website. And the total cost for this one is $129. This is just the collared version. It does not have the hood. If you want to go with the hood, that'll increase the price to $159. And this has been my go-to on many trips, mostly cold weather trips. I've worn this quite a bit up in the White Mountains in New Hampshire during the winter. I've also worn this on a few through hikes along the New England National Scenic Trail and North-South Trail, and many other backpacking trips. This is a great cold weather piece. So what I'm wearing underneath this is a 200 weight REI merino wool base layer or a Smart Wool 250 weight merino wool base layer. And I'll throw this on top and then I'll have my shell on the outside. And it works really well in cold temperatures while I'm hiking. If I'm stationary with this at camp, I've been comfortable down to about the mid-20s before I start getting a chill. For me personally, when I've been hiking with this, I've been comfortable down to the teens. I run really warm, and you want to avoid sweating in the winter time anyway. For anything warmer than freezing temperatures, I can wear a short sleeve shirt underneath this or a very lightweight base layer and be pretty comfortable. Once the temperature gets above like 45 degrees, this ends up becoming a little too much for me and I start sweating a lot. On my scale, this weighs about 11.7 ounces. The hooded version weighs about 12.5 ounces from what I've heard. I don't personally own one of the hooded ones yet, just because I have a couple of other fleeces here and I had already owned this. I've had this one for about 4 or 5 years now. Still holding up really well after many washes and many trips. I've been very happy with the performance of it. The outside of this fleece is going to be very smooth, and the inside has really big squares to make that waffle design of the microgrid. So its thermal regulation is really good. The breathability is kind of hindered a little bit compared to other layers. So this is definitely going to be more of a colder weather layer for me than it will be for warmer temperatures. With this, it uses a Polartec Power Dry, and it feels like it's about a 200 to a 250 weight. The hooded version and this version have a really nice chest pocket, which I appreciate in those colder temperatures, so I can keep my headlamp in there or smaller items that I want to access. The fit of the R1 is very athletic, so I personally find I like the athletic fit over other styles and fits, so I find this to be very comfortable. You might find it to be a little tight, a little restrictive if you like things that are a little more relaxed. Patagonia's raglan sleeves provides excellent movement in the arms and mobility. I don't feel really stiff when I'm wearing this. I have had this get soaked and it did take a little longer to dry than the other ones I'm going to be going over in this video, but it did work relatively well. And it's a fleece I've been very happy with, and I look forward to getting many more seasons out of this. The hooded version of this does not have a toggle around the hood, so you can't cinch it down around your head, but it is nice and snug around the head when you zip it up completely. You don't get any excess space inside, and it does cover the neck really nicely as well. The collar with this is nice and snug too. When I zip it up, it does go completely around my neck and gives a great amount of comfort. And the half zipper is nice too, just to have really good body temperature regulation. All right, next I have the Melanzana microgrid hooded fleece. If you have this one on your list of items that you want to purchase, you might want to remove it from that list. This is going to be very, very difficult to find unless you are in Leadville, Colorado, or you have friends that are going to be out there. And even then, it can still be very difficult to get one of these. You can find these on eBay, but expect to pay at least 2 to 3 times as much as the original cost of this, just because of its high popularity. Because this is so highly sought after and very difficult to find, that is what has made this a very popular hoodie. So the cost of this originally is $70. And on my scale, this weighed right around about 10.5 ounces. The fleece material is a little different than the R1, so on the inside you have this nice smooth interior, feels very soft against the skin, and then on the outside you have the microgrid pattern, and the squares on this microgrid pattern are going to be a little bit smaller than the Patagonia R1. The weight of this overall is going to be more of like a 100, 150 weight. And they're using 100% polyester. The Patagonia R1 is going to be 92% polyester and 8% spandex. I've worn this on multiple backpacking trips. I used it as part of my layering system in the White Mountains over this past summer and various other backpacking trips. This works very well in warmer temperatures for me personally, with a lightweight base layer on or a short sleeve base layer. I've been very comfortable down to about freezing. Once it gets below freezing, I probably will not use this. I'll go with the Patagonia R1, and I can get a little more comfort up to about 50, 55 degrees Fahrenheit with this, just due to its lighter weight, and I find this to be a little more breathable than the Patagonia R1. So when I'm stationary, I find this to be comfortable down to about 40 degrees, and then I might need to start moving around to warm up or just wear a thicker layer overall under this. So the fit of the Melanzana hoodie, I actually don't prefer it. It's going to be a little boxier than what I usually prefer to wear when I'm out on the trail. It still fits really nicely. The sleeves I find are a little boxier too, but even with that boxiness, the fabric does still move with me pretty comfortably. I'm not getting any restricted movement, and that's most likely due to the softer inner material of this fleece just sliding along the additional clothing that I have on. There's a pouch style pocket in the front, which is really nice for those nights or mornings when you're hanging around camp, but it is not zippered like the Patagonia R1. The hoodie on this does also have a cinch toggle, so you can cinch this down around the head really snug. The collar underneath the bottom of the hood does come up around my neck, so it does help keep a little more heat in. This is dried a little bit quicker for me personally than the Patagonia R1. And lastly, the Old Navy Go Warm microgrid fleece. I don't know if this is available anymore. I haven't seen them recently. I picked up a couple of these actually last spring with a closeout season sale, and I'm glad I did. Once I tried one of them on, I liked it so much I went back and picked up a couple more. So I have this one here. I also have a gray one, and I have a plum colored one. The total cost for these originally, I think it was around $40 or $50, but with that closeout deal, I got them between $10 and $14 depending on the color. So in total with all three, I spent around like $32, $33 for 3 microgrid fleeces. And these have quickly become my go-to for many 3-season trips. I have taken these down to lower temperatures in the shoulder seasons, and it works relatively well. So the weight on my scale with one of these is right around 9 ounces. The performance, as I mentioned, with a lightweight base layer on, 150 weight merino wool, or something that's a little bit thinner like a lightweight capilene base layer, or a everyday cool base layer. This has worked really well for me down to about the mid 40s. Once it gets a little bit colder, I'll throw a slightly warmer base layer on underneath, and I've been able to go down to right around close to freezing. I'd say around 34, 35 degrees Fahrenheit I've had this on, and it's worked well for me. I actually recently wore the gray one with my 200 weight merino wool base layer. This is the REI merino wool base layer, long sleeve, and very lightweight Patagonia Houdini jacket while leading a group hike on New Year's Day on the New England National Scenic Trail. And the temperature was around the upper 30s with 15-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It definitely brought it down to under freezing. We were upper 20s, and I was very comfortable and relatively dry through most of that hike. I also wore the gray one on the Allegheny 100 this year in Allegheny National Forest on the North Country Trail in Pennsylvania over the summer. And this ended up being part of my sleep system and my insulation, and it worked great. And I might even go with using that again in 2020 for the Allegheny 100. The outside material of this is very similar to the Patagonia R1, and the inside has waffle style squares that are about the same size as the Patagonia R1, but the fabric that they're using is a little bit thinner. The material used with this is 93% polyester and 7% spandex. The way that it achieves being a little bit lighter in weight, don't have a zippered pocket on the front. Actually don't have any zippered pockets with this, so that's one drawback to this, but I appreciate the simplicity of it, and it's something that I didn't find to hinder my goals or objectives of the specific trips that I've been on with this. The zipper on the front is a quarter zip, so it does help with some temperature regulation, not as much as the Patagonia R1, but a little better than the Melanzana, because the Melanzana does not have any zipper at all. The hood on the Go Warm fleece is really big. When I zipper this up, it does cover the neck nicely, and the hood does fit around the head, so it feels pretty comfortable. It moves with me without any restriction, but it does not have a way to get cinched down, so when you do have breezes coming through, it does blow through the side. It doesn't sit snug as easily as the Patagonia or the Melanzana does. This fleece moves around really nicely when I'm hiking or when I'm reaching down to get something out of my pack. Don't feel any restricted movement. And the fit of this is going to be pretty athletic as well. Very similar to the Patagonia R1, not as boxy as the Melanzana. So I really like the fit of this one also, just because I prefer more of the athletic fit than having a boxy fit. So why would I go with a fleece over a down jacket or a synthetic jacket? First, the cost is going to be relatively low compared to some synthetic jackets and definitely most down jackets. But on through hikes and a lot of the trips that I do here in New England, it's moisture management. So this is still going to give me a fair amount of insulation if it does get wet. It's really easy to wring any of these dry. easy on through hikes to clean these at a laundromat and then dry them. And they absorb little moisture compared to synthetics and down jackets. So with that in mind and factoring this in as part of a layering system with everything else, it works relatively well for me personally, and this is usually my go-to. One synthetic jacket that I have been using quite a bit now and testing out is the hooded Patagonia Micro Puff. This is right on par with the weight of the fleeces that I showed you in this video. This is right around about 9.5, 10 ounces. Hood is nice and snug around the head. And the quilted design on this jacket is made to mimic down. So I'm really looking forward to testing this out more. I've used this with some camping and hiking trips up in Acadia National Park over the fall. And I also have used this on multiple hikes and backpacking trips once the fall came around, and I've been using this a bit in the winter. You'll see this jacket actually on my winter hammock setup system video that I put together recently when I was up in Vermont. I'll put something together on this jacket in general down the line once I get more use out of it. Another video you might want to check out, that's another very popular jacket in the thru hiking community, is the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer jacket. That jacket I've had for about 5 years now, and I've had extensive use with it. I'll put a link for that video and the winter hammocking video, both in the video description for this video here. So out of these three, which one do I prefer? They're all excellent fleeces. They perform very well in varying conditions. The Melanzana would probably be my last choice. For me personally, because of the boxier fit, but most importantly because it's so difficult to find anywhere. So I would rule that one out. Patagonia R1, this is my go-to for most trips, but especially when it's colder weather. Once it gets really warm, I won't even carry this with me. Unless I'm doing a through hike, like if I were out on the AT again. Down in Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, when it's getting very cold at night, and when you're up in the Whites or up in Maine, finishing your through hike, or even the complete opposite if you're doing a Sobo, this is a layer that I would definitely bring with me personally. Anything within those states, with the other 9 or 10, I would go with something like the Old Navy microgrid hoodie. Something that's a 100 weight fleece. That's just something that works for me personally. This would be my choice. I find this to be very comfortable, and I'm looking forward to getting many more uses out of this as well. So there you have it, a comparison between those three fleeces. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions on these fleeces or anything else in my videos, please feel free to get in touch with me in a comment below, or you can always contact me at reachyoursummit.net. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. And if you like this video, consider subscribing to this channel, as I'm always adding new content to it. Thank you for watching and for your support. Greatly appreciate it. Have a happy new year, and I'll see you on the trail.